In this video, I'll show you how to make some amazing still life photos with a glass of water in your small home studio. Hello, I'm Gavin Hoey and you're watching Adorama TV, brought to you by Adorama, the camera store that's got everything for us photographers. And in this video, I'm going to show you my 3 new lenses. Yeah, technically they are glassware, but if you fill them with water, they will act like a mini lens and reverse anything that you see looking through them. And I'm going to use that to make some interesting pictures in my small home studio. Now for this to work, we need a few things. Light, first of all. I'm going to be using my Flashpont Xplor 400, but honestly, you could do this without flash. You could use continuous LED lights. However, LEDs, not as bright as flash, you would need a tripod because I'm going to be using some fairly small apertures. Then there is the base. So I'm using this black glossy floor tile. You could use anything similar, or maybe a mirror, or just a piece of ordinary glass with some black paper underneath it. And if you don't have any of that, I'll show you an alternative method as we go through the video. Then there's the backgrounds. Pretty much anything could be a background for this, I guess. But if you want some free, interesting backgrounds, the ones I'm going to use in this video are all available completely for free on my blog. So go check that out and download and print them as you need. You're going to need some glassware and some water, and anything involving water instantly means you really need to know where your towel is, because this could get wet by mistake. My towel's down there. Hopefully I won't need it. Right, let's get some light set, let's get some backgrounds in, let's get shooting. So my plan is to shoot 3 different glasses with different backgrounds, but the principle is going to be the same on all of them. It relies on the fact that the glass of water will reverse anything that you see through it. What about the camera settings? Well, that's going to be the same as well. I need a good depth of field for this. I'm going to go for f11 on my camera. You might find if you have something like a full frame camera, f16 or f22 would be a better choice. Everything else is going to be standard settings, flash sync speed, lowest ISO, no flash, no picture, you get the idea. What about the position of the light? At the moment it's fairly central, that might work just fine, but if I just take a test picture, well, it works okay, but closer inspection of the glass, well, I can clearly see the flash reflected in the front of the glass, and different shaped glasses will give you better or worse reflections. So what I've done is I've moved the light closer to the background. I still need even illumination on there, but now none of the light is going to reach the front of the glass, and that's where the reflections were coming from. At least that's the idea. There's only one way to find out if this actually works. That's take a test picture. So same settings as I had before, nothing's changed. Take a test shot. That looks a little bit underexposed. I'm just going to increase the power of my flash by a stop. Take another test shot. And that looks great. No reflections on the glass. I reckon we probably got this right. So let's take a few pictures like this. The key to this shot is symmetry. So I'm trying to get the line going through the glass to match up with the line going through the background. So for the second look, I've gone for the stripy background. Now, if you don't have a reflective base, here's the workaround. Print 2 of them off and use one of them as the base. But if, like me, you're using an inkjet printer, it's really important that you dry the glass thoroughly before you put it down, because inkjet prints are going to run as soon as they get wet and look horrible. So let's see how this looks. Like any lens, this one can be refocused, and in fact moving it closer or further away from the background will completely change the look and feel of the shots. So move it around, experiment and see what you come up with. So for my third setup, I've gone with the fine stripy background and this wine glass. And of all the glasses I've used, this is the hardest to minimize reflections. And that brings me on to post-processing, because there will be some, we'll get to that in a moment. But to minimize the amount of post-processing I have to do, I'm going to clean the glass now. And I mean really clean it with a lens cloth, because any fingerprints or dust and dirt, well, they're going to seem enormous when it comes to post-processing, and you only want to do this once. You don't want to have to repeatedly clone out the same bit of dirt. So let's try this. And once again, everything is the same as it was before, only the background and the glassware has changed. So at the moment, I've only got access to normal printing paper rather than matte photo paper. So my blacks aren't very black and my whites aren't very white, but I'm going to fix that in post. Let's have a little look. So let's go find one of the images that I want to work on. And first thing I want to do is really crop this image down, because it really isn't quite the crop that I'm after. So I'm going to come up to my crop tool here in Camera Raw. If you're a Lightroom user, this is exactly the same as the Develop module in Lightroom. I'm going to choose the 1x1 because I think a square is the way I want to go. I think this is going to lend itself to a square very nicely. It needs a bit of rotating around. I'm just lining up the lower half here just so I can get that sort of about right. And then I'll square it up inside of the frame, hit enter, and that'll crop it to a nice square. Okay, the blacks aren't at all black. Everything is the wrong color. Let's do the color next. So I'm going to get the white balance tool and click on some of the white, because that should at least give me a roughly right white balance. And then the blacks. Now I could come over to the basics and just sort of start playing with the settings here. So I can pull the blacks down and the whites up and so on. That's going to give me an okay start. The thing is, the top half, the blacks aren't very black. And the bottom half, the whites aren't very white. So I'm going to fix those individually and locally by using the adjustment brush. So with the adjustment brush, I can paint on changes. For example, the blacks, well, that's going to be shadows and blacks. So let's put those both down to minimum, and I'll get a bigger brush and just paint over those areas. And look at that, that looks great. Now my blacks are going really black. I was happy with my whites, they looked white enough. And that looks a lot better just doing that. It may need a second go, in which case just click on the new button and repeat the process. Yeah, there we go. That looks a lot better. I'm really happy with that. What about the whites? Well, I'll click on the new adjustment brush once again. This time I'll reverse it. So I'll reset the shadows and the blacks, but increase the illumination on the highlights and the whites. And let's just paint across the base. Now that looks okay, but one thing I'm less happy about is that sort of area just underneath the glass. So where the glass and the reflective tile meet, that was where the light was pointing straight down, and it's just bounced straight through there and really blown out, and my adjustments probably haven't helped. Luckily, that's an easy fix with the adjustment brush. So let's go grab the adjustment brush again, and this time what I'm going to do is make a new brush that is just for the highlights and the whites, but not so heavy. I'm going to build the effect up a little bit more gradually because I'm not sure how much I need. I can even pull the exposure. Oh, there we go. Yeah, gently does it. Pull the exposure down, and that looks about right. So the last thing I want to do is just fix the red, where the red is looking a little bit washed out and a little bit orange, if anything. So let's come out of the adjustment brush by clicking either the magnifying glass or the hand tool. And then I'm going to go across here in Camera Raw to HSL Adjustments. I'll choose the saturation option, and I'll take the reds and the oranges up in saturation, because although it is supposed to be a red line, it looks more orange, so I'll increase both of those. Then I'll go back over to the hue slider, and I'm going to take the orange slider and move it to the left which makes orange more red. And as it's the only orange in this picture, it's going to make that red line absolutely zing. So there you go, with a couple of other small tweaks and adjustments, there's my final picture completed. This was a great fun shoot, but of course you don't need exactly the same things that I used. In fact, use whatever you've got around the house to create something that's different, unique, and your own. And when you do, don't forget to use the hashtag #CreateNoMatterWhat so we can see exactly what you come up with. Now, if you've enjoyed this video or you've got any questions, leave me a comment below. Click on the bell icon for regular notifications of all the brand new videos right here on Adorama TV. And of course, don't forget to click on the subscribe button. I'm Gavin Hoey. Thanks for watching.